So, good evening to all. I'm Dr. Gurung. I'm a consultant psychiatrist. So, today we have got a lovely webinar for people interested in psychiatry. So, we have got two speakers. The first speaker we have got is Sakid. He's a co-trainee CT3. So, he will provide us a very good insight on what we expect in co-trainee, what are the things to look for. Hopefully, by his presentation, you will get some idea. So, Sakid, I leave it to you. And Sakit would prefer question and answer session after his session. So off to you. Best of luck.
Thank you, Dr. Gurung. So I am one of the co-trainee in West London Trust. So, and now I'm a CT3. My today's talk is about how we start applying for co-training, basically. Let's see. So just if Dr. Gurung, if you can just let me know if you can see the first page of the presentation now, please.
Yeah, perfect. Go for it.
And it's progressing, right? Now
Yes,
the second
yes.
page. Okay, great. Thank you. Good evening, all. So yeah, we'll talk about first basically the two talk that we're gonna deliver today. The first one is how to get into the core training, and the second one is, of course, how to get into the specialty training. And Dr. Haque will be delivering on that. So let's start about the core training in psychiatry. So psychiatric core training is 3-year training. We'll talk about the overview of it, how to apply for it, recruitment timeline, and a little bit about the multi-specialty recruitment assessment exam. That's the only exam one need to take to get into the core training for psychiatry, and a little bit about the posts available. Now, before I start, I just want to say that if someone is interested into the psychiatry training pathway in UK, the best way to start looking for information would be to just write this, just start Googling psychiatry training in UK. The first two things that will come up is from the Health Education England page, and the second one is from the Royal College of Psychiatrists page. Both of them would be the authentic information that you want to get, and just about everything about applying in both in core training and in specialty training. You can get from this Health Education England pages, the first one in usually that comes up in Google search. And most of today's presentation that I got, most of the information is from that page, actually. Now, the overview of core training. What is a core training? In psychiatry, one need to do 36 months post-foundation training. That means if someone, for their foundation 1 or 2 year, if they do a psychiatry 6-month placement, that would not count. So it would be after the internship, post-foundation or internship, 36 months, CT1 to CT3. And there are 3 more exams as well, like 3 exams. There MRC psych exam, paper A, paper B, and the clinical assessment exam. So once you complete the 36-month and the 3 parts of the exam, then you can have the core training. It can be said that you have completed the core training. You have completed that part of the training and can progress to the specialty training from there on. Just a little bit about these 3 years that you're gonna spend in different psychiatric hospitals. Usually the first year it starts with a community inpatient or a community or an inpatient of adult psychiatry or old age psychiatry. Usually starts with that, the first year there, and the second and third year usually in other specialties. Psychiatry have 6 different super specialties. So the first year usually spent in adult and old age. Other 2 years usually spent in all other specialties, including forensic, child, learning disability psychiatry, psychotherapy, and so on. I can talk about a little bit about the life as a co-trainee later when I finish about the application process itself, and if someone has a question later on. Now, there's another training pathway for psychiatry, academic clinical fellowship. This is for someone who want to get into the psychiatry training, also wants to develop themselves as an academic. Later on, you'll find people who are psychiatric consultant, and you'll find also people who are psychiatry professors, assistant professors, and researchers and clinicians. So this is the I'd say rather streamlined way to get into that researcher and clinician pathway if one wants to. That would be through academic clinical fellowship. Today, our talk is not about this, unfortunately. This is a different pathway. You just have to apply through the same ORIAL, and but this is different from the co-training pathway. Just so you know that this is another pathway that's there for psychiatry training. Now, for person specification, who can apply for a co-training post? The application is, it starts as CT1 or ST1. This ST means the specialty training one. Two subspecialties in psychiatry, they have what we call a run-through training, child and adolescent psychiatry, as well as the psychiatry of learning disability. It is kind of like pilot project still on. It's like last a couple of years or so, it's been ongoing, that one can apply for a run-through training. The run-through training pathway means that you don't have to reapply for the specialty training in ST4 position. Rather, run through from CT3, you go straight to ST4, and that CT is not called CT, they're called like ST1. That's how it starts. But that is a few posts only there. But whatever it is, CT1 or ST1, the application, who can apply? So you need to have a primary medical qualification. So you need to be a doctor, need to have a GMC registration, need to have the English language some sort of qualification for that if someone is applying from outside the country. But usually when you have the GMC registration, the English language qualification is there already checked. So it's not necessary that you will have to reapply for another kind of IELTS or anything afterwards. Also, you need to finish the 2 years after the qualification, like FY1 and FY2, and then you can apply for it. But if someone is applying with a CREST form, I know most of the people are aware of what is a CREST form. This is just a certificate of readiness of entering a specialty training. So if, for example, someone from India or Bangladesh or Nepal, they want to get into the training of psychiatry in UK, their internship program is not UK internship program. So that's not, you'll have a different kind of pathways. So people can have 1 year or 2 year internship, but that's not it. You have that foundation training in your own country. You also need to have this CREST form. It is just a form saying that this doctor is ready to get into a specialty training. It can be certified by somebody who has GMC registration or who does not have even a GMC registration. They can also certify for it. It have to be a consultant or level above than that. And the last of all is one need to have the right to work in UK. Of course, this is another thing. Although it's written in the Health Education in England that you have to have the right to work in UK, but actually what happens is that if anyone is deemed appointable, then the Health Education England actually asks for the visa and the paperwork anyway. So that's another thing that will be sorted out after the application process. Now, the application process itself. It's a standardized application process. It's in ORIAL. ORIAL is where all the specialty training application processes actually. And after you apply, they will do long listing. You don't have to do anything. They will let you know that you have to take, you have to take this exam, this MSRA exam. There is no interview. After you have the result of the MSRA, they will rank you. the Health Education England will rank you according to the MSRA score. There is no interview, and you just given an offer after the ranking is done. That's basically it. The application process is pretty straightforward. You need to apply in ORIAL, you need to take the exam, and that's it. Now, this is ORIAL. Basically, I'm sure most of the people, again, who are interested in specialty training have heard of it. ORIAL is the portal where all the specialty training application goes to. Now, just the recruitment timeline, so that people can have an idea about how it runs. The timeline is, I've got this one is from the latest, what is published in the Health Education England website. It says that this round of recruitment is for the post of August 2025. So for August 2025, application opens in October 2024. So yeah, it's a long way to go, but one have to start then. So those who want to apply for August 2024-25, they already have applied, or else the application is now closed. No, actually the application is still open. It's 21st of November until. So there is still a few days to go for that. So one can see that if it's next year August, but the application opens in this year October and November time. After the application is done, what they will do will check whether you have the criteria, essentially the the personal specifications or not. If one do tick these boxes, then what happens is that they'll ask for you to sit for the multi-specialty recruitment assessment exam. It changes every year, the date of the invitation, but usually in December. I checked a few days ago what was my application times MSRA invitation. It was on the 6th of December that I got the invitation. Then the exam itself is in January, and the result publication is within a couple of weeks to 3 weeks time. It doesn't take a month. It should be less than a month. So in a couple of weeks to 3 weeks, by that time, result will be published. And there is a score that they publish in ORIAL. So in ORIAL page, the score will be published. The ranking, by the way, is different. According to the score, also, one needs to keep in mind that multiple people can have the same score. So, and then there is, the recruiting authority, in this case, Haque is, I think, Northwest Division. They need to do some tie breaking and publish a ranking. So that takes about a week or so. So exam result is published, you have the score, but still you have to wait for about a week to get your ranking. Once you get the ranking, then within a few days, the initial offers starts to be flowing in. So in this in this rotation, they're saying that the initial offers should be released by 25th of March. Now, how do you deal with those offers? What to do with that? There are a few things called holding, upgrading, accepting. I will talk a little bit about those later, just in a minute or so. Just so you know, there is a hold timeline is until 3rd of April. Upgrade is until 8th of April. And that's it. Now let's begin with the exam itself. MSRA is two different papers, MSRA exams. One is called Professional Dilemma, and one is Clinical Problem Solving. Clinical Problem Solving is actually clinical paper. This is where basically everything in foundation years questions are from there. The Professional Dilemma is actually professional ethics and multiple things there. There may be some questions from how do you communicate, and some questions about how to deal with the the ethically difficult situations. Basically, this is an aptitude test. One get the test, and you can see there are 50 scenarios for the PD part, and there are 86 questions from the CPS, and the test time is different. It is the same exam you take. The first one is PD and then the CPS. And yeah, the raw score is 186 for each of these two papers. And then if someone gets the raw score of 186 at least, then this is they are deemed to be appointable. So there is a pass fail here. If anyone fails, then they can take the MSRA again. But this is a new development as well. If somebody passes this score, in their case, they cannot take it again. The problem with MSRA is, for example, someone scored 450 or something, then this is not good enough in a sense that they may not get us. They may not be appointable if there is not a lot of posts. Again, this is another thing that what would happen in the last few years, that people can take it multiple times, but there is a new development. You cannot take it if you pass it. So basically, if someone is really want to get into the training, then I'd say that please prepare for MSRA really well, because you cannot take it to improve your paper later on. That's a new development, need to know. And then once the exam is over, you got your result, you got your ranking, and then they ask you to do preferencing. Preferencing is usually, you can put all the posts available. You can put whichever you want to take. The HE wants you to only check those posts that you really want to take. So in this stage, you will get the name of all the posts available in the whole country, in England, in Scotland, and in Wales. Not in Northern Ireland, that's different. But in these three nations, and you can just tick the boxes which one you want to be your first one to maybe 300 others. But again, the HA wants you only to tick those as you will be willing to accept. Now, what to do with offers? When you have your exam done, you have your ranking done, now you preferred, and now you got, offers are coming in. What to do with the offer? You can either do these three. You can either accept, you can hold, or you can reject. The accept is, once accepted, that's done. You got the post, not you got the post, you accepted the post, and then from the HE, the recruiting authority will start to contact you once you accepted the post. Or you can accept with upgrade. For example, if I get my third preference, I didn't get my first two, so I might want to get my first or the second one, so I might just accept with upgrade, then automatically they will upgrade to my first one if it's available. Now, hold is different. Hold is, you can hold the post. It's not accepting. You have to accept within the hold timeline, or it will be deemed as you rejected it. So it's very important. If you're holding a post, you need to accept before the hold timeline is finished. You can hold with that same post, or you can hold with the upgrade post. It depends. Every 48 hours usually, what happens is that once you held the post, you got to get offer from the ranked, from which you ranked earlier than what you hold on. For example, if I got an offer, which is my third preference, I hold it with upgrade. What will happen is that they will offer me another, if available, my second or my first one. And in that case, I can again hold with upgrade. if I get the second one, or I can just accept with upgrade, or I can just accept without upgrade. That's it. I want my second one, and that's it. I hope it is clear. If it is not, then again, I'm very happy to clarify it in the last part when we have a Q&A section, or if there is any other question, I'm happy to clarify in Q&A section as well. Reject is that once you reject the post, you won't be offered anymore. So this is different. If you want something higher preference, then do not reject, just hold or accept. Okay, once you reject, that's it. They will not offer you any more post in this rotation. Now, that's it. What I was talking about, what is an accepting an offer, what is an holding an offer. For accepting, you don't have to do anything, but if you're holding a post, you need to accept the post before the holding timeline is over, or it will be deemed as declined. That's very, very important to keep in mind. Now, once the offer is accepted, then the offers of employment and pre-employment checks starts. The pre-employment contract will be sent over to the candidate from not from the Health Education England. This would be from the trusts. The trusts will be the one who will be employing a psychiatric trainee. For example, I got into training program that includes the North and Central and West London. I forgot the some part of it. And then, but when I was offered the employment contract, it came from a trust. It's a Central and Northwest London a foundation trust. They send the employment contract. That's different from the recruiting authority that you are dealing with before this. So of course, the trust, they start to send employment contract. They will also do all these kinds of checks. So this is the only few. I put a six here, but I think there are a few more as well. So basically, they will identify you. They will want to see your passport and national identity, whatever, to verify that you are who you say you are. They will work on the immigration status. Will provide you a COS if you are from outside the country. If you need a sponsorship, they will do the DBS check. Basically, this is a police certificate check. So police will check in their own, data whether your name appears or not. And then registration and qualification. Of course, one need to be registered and qualified. So, you need to have the MBBS or equivalent degree, and you need to have a GMC registration. So that's the check. And then reference checks, that should be last 3 to 5 years. It depends. So reference check usually can be from medical school, from the last employers. That can be from UK, and they do check employers from outside the country as well. So please be prepared for that as well. And occupational health check. Now, this is what they publish in the Haque website, that these posts are available in round 3, which is October 2025 intake. Usually in a year, there are 397 posts. That's what was there in 2024. The fill rate is 100%. So everybody accepted the post. So there is no post vacant. So that's good for psychiatry. It seems like psychiatry is getting a lot of attention these days, so I'm happy about that. Basically, that's it. You have around 400 posts in a year, but there are 2 intakes. So at one intake, most of the 2/3 posts are there. Another intake, about 1/3 posts are there. This is the published posts. I just showed it here so that you have some kind of idea. In psychiatry training, most of the posts are in this Kent, Surrey, Sussex, and London. Northern Ireland, the whole country has around 7 posts, not a lot, one can imagine. Wales has only 30, and Scotland is around 40 or so. Miss Midlands, both West and East Midland has a lot of posts again. That means Birmingham, Solihull, this area. Yorkshire and around that area, there are not a lot of posts actually, but Northwest does have a few posts. It's just so that one have an idea about where the posts are mainly distributed. If you want a bottom line, most of the posts in court training are in London and in Kent, Surrey, Sussex. Now, this too is the QR code for RCP Psych website and then the Health Education England website. That I say that the most of the information in my talk today is from their website, and if you need more information, you can always just scan this QR code and get into their website. And that's it, actually. That concludes my section. Now I have a question, so I'll stop sharing. I hope it is working now.
Perfect. Okay, thank you, Dr. Roy, for a very comprehensive cover of core trainee. So right now we have got 25 people attending this session. If you have got any question, please, if you don't feel comfortable to talk, you can write in the chat. Or if you feel comfortable, we are not going to charge you extra money for showing your camera and asking question. I know there's a question over in the chat, but that question can be answered later on when Dr. Tanjita Haque does her presentation, but it's more relevant at the time. Okay, so let us see if there's any question. We have got 10 minutes for this question and answer session, so we'll just wait. Okay. Dr. Roy, I've got a question for you, if you may.
Go ahead, Dr. Gurung.
If there's no any question, okay. So in terms of core trainee, okay, what is the thing that you really enjoyed working in UK?
Oh yeah, this is a tough question, Dr. Gurung. I really enjoy General Adult Psychiatry. I hope that you're happy now with the answer. And the second one is that psychiatry training here in UK is completely psychiatry training. You don't have to do like medicine training. You don't have to do surgery training. Of course, you have done all those things in your foundation years, but it is basically everything is psychiatry. Start in a psychiatry facility where very specific kind of set of rule you got to learn in the first 6 months that what to do, and lots of new words, for example, seclusion and all those things. This is pretty exciting for 6 months, of course, and that was the beginning of the psychiatry journey. In my case, it was a general adult psychiatry inpatient, acute inpatient ward. That's a lot of adrenaline, lot of thing happening, and that was fascinating. A lot thing to learn from there. And the other aspect that I really enjoyed is learning about dynamic psychotherapy when I was doing my long case. It was really illuminating. So yeah, both the inpatient adrenaline rush ward and as well as the psychotherapy, both of this was really enjoyable.
I think partly you answered the question which is put over here. Is it easy for IMG with 2-year experience to adjust into the training?
So 2 years experience in what? If somebody has 2 years experience in general medicine or emergency medicine, like I had 2 years experience in emergency medicine, I find it really helpful because you have to check the ECG and you have to actually comment on the ECG on whether this is an QT prolongation or not, whether it's T inversion or not. So any kind of experience, whether that is in psychiatry or outside psychiatry, I think would be very very valuable. About easy or not, as I said, this core training the core training ranking entirely depends on the MSRA exam. Basically, if you score high enough, you will be offered a post. That's the bottom line. when you do get to enter the training itself, there are seniors, there are this, registrars like Dr. Haque, there are consultants like Dr. Gurung. They are very good people generally. So yeah, it won't be very difficult for anyone to, who have diverse experience from different country, to get into an UK psychiatry training and not to do well. I hope that answers some of the questions.
Yeah. There are some questions, but I think those questions can be answered after Dr. Haque.
Yes, yes, I believe so. Yes, I have seen the
And
question.
yeah, I will come back to those questions. What overseas opportunities are available after completing? Okay, that we can answer later on. Okay, so let me just see. Okay, so most of the question which is asked over here, we will wait after Dr. Chanjita does her presentation. Okay, so
Um, I have a little question for Dr. Roy, actually, if you don't mind. Um, so obviously, most of the participants here they're preparing for either core training or ST training, I believe. And obviously, the MSRA is much different now from when I did my MSRA back in 2019. And I think there is no interview now. I had interviews. So would you be able to tell us a bit more about how to prepare for the MSRA? Because I heard that the numbers, you have to score really high to get into psychiatry, especially if you want to have your preferred course. So how did you prepare for MSRA now?
Thank you, Dr. Haque. Yes, so now MSRA is a bit more competitive, in the sense that, as you saw in my presentation, that psychiatry acceptance rate is 100%. So in core training, there is no post that is vacant in 2024. That's, even for competitive specialties like medicine and others, they have vacant posts. So this does put this question that it is indeed a very competitive specialty at the moment, as it looks like. For the scoring, of course, one need to prepare for both this paper. So there are a few online question bank, including one is called eMedica and other is Pass Medicine, I guess, and Pass Test, and there are a few like that. I recommend that at least subscribe for two of them, please, and do the questions and prepare and try to know what is the message behind those professional dilemma questions. Because if one try to just memorize professional dilemma questions, like this is ethical question, this can be very tricky, and all of the questions, they all kind look the same kind of. So one need to understand what is the message behind this question, only then you can answer. So for anyone who is applying from outside the country, who did not take their professional dilemma question in their foundation years, like Dr. Rock and I, so we had to prepare a bit better for that part. So yeah, one need to do at least, I recommend, this is my advice, to subscribe for at least two of those question bank and really prepare well, 3 to 4 months, and then I'm sure you will do good, fine.
I think I agree with that as well. I remember when I took my MSRA in 2019, I subscribed with two courses. I don't know if I should tell the name because we should not promote anyone. But yeah, I did subscribe two courses as well, and did attended one in Birmingham. I think a 1-day course or 2-day course in Birmingham as well. Yeah, I mean, I think because it's so competitive, so it's really important that we use the right material to prepare properly. Someone said, please share the names. There are so many. I'm not sure. Maybe Dio can tell us if we are allowed to promote anything.
Yeah, you can tell because there's no any conflict of interest. You're
Yeah.
not getting paid for taking that courses. At least you are giving some information, and at end of the day, it depends on that person whether they want to subscribe or not.
Well, I mean, I don't know how is the quality now. I don't know if they are doing good now or not, but it really helped me when I took my test. I think I used eMedica and pass test or pass medicine. What does it call? Pass test, isn't it? Or pass medicine? Pass
I think
medicine.
there are both of them, maybe.
I think
Emedica
I
is
pass
one, and
medicine. Yeah, I
yeah,
took
maybe.
pass medicine for MSRA and eMedica, but I don't know how they are doing now, to be honest, because it's been 5 years since I did my core MSRA. So, but I used both and I got benefited from both. Yeah, that's all I can say.
Just to add to that, in terms of MRSA, I'm prehistoric because I gave my core training in 2013. We didn't have MRSA, and I think MRSA came in 2017. So by the time I had already finished my core training. So the other thing I would recommend is, people who are preparing for the MRSA, don't just rely on the materials. Also have a habit of discussing with the seniors, and if you are working in NHS, one of the things is, please, discuss with the seniors. Sometimes, the thing that we do normally in day-to-day life, that sticks in your brain more than what you spend, reading the books and the materials. Okay. I'm conscious of time. Okay. Dr. Haque, would you like to start, or would you like to have 5 minutes break before we give a start?
No, I think we can start straight away.
Okay.
No one is tired.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me introduce Dr. Haque is ST training in Northwest. She have got a lot of information around ST. So I leave it to you, Dr. Haque, in your safe hand. Please go ahead with the presentation.
Thank you. I'm just trying to share my slides. Okay. Can you see my first slide? Obviously, let me see if I can put it on slide mode. Otherwise, I may need to drag, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
And you prefer a question at the end of the presentation, is that right?
Yeah, maybe 5-10 minutes at the end of the presentation.
Okay,
if that's okay.
perfect.
All right, okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so hi, my name is Dr. Tansita Haque. I'm one of the ST4 registrar in General Adult Psychiatry in Northwest. Today we are basically trying to give you an idea about how to get into the training post, both in core psychiatry training and in specialty training. So basically we will discuss about how to make the application and how to prepare for the written test or the interview. Obviously for ST training there is no written test. For the core training there is a test called MSRA, and Dr. Roy has already discussed. So I will discuss about the interview and overall application process. So if you see the, can you see the second page? Why psychiatry? This one.
Yeah, we can
Okay.
see.
Okay, so why will you choose psychiatry, or why did I choose psychiatry? So I quoted this from the Royal College of Psychiatry website from our dean, Dr. Dev, and according to him, psychiatry is a fantastic career, uniquely requiring an understanding of a patient's brain, body, and background. So when I tell anyone about why did I choose psychiatry, obviously I enjoy working in this specialty, and also one thing that we need to keep in mind, that when we are seeing a patient in psychiatry department, this patient is like anyone who has psychiatric illnesses or psychiatric problems. They are one of the most vulnerable group of people, and they have a traumatic past. They have had a lot in the past, and they may have poor coping skill to how to deal with trauma and everything. And when they come to a doctor, most of the times it's not that they come to you for a tablet. Sometimes they want you to listen to them, kind of like validate that they're in trouble, they need help. That help can be a pharmacological or non-pharmacological. It depends on the scenario or the circumstances, but we always need to keep in mind that you are seeing a very vulnerable person, and you need to be a very open-minded and very non-judgmental. I mean, you need to keep in mind that this patient is already going through a lot, so that person should not have something from you that kind of like give her or him a negative view or negative overview about himself or herself. So that's very important. So in this slide, I will try to give you an overview about higher psychiatry training. So as Dr. Roy said, if you want to get into the psychiatry training, you have to complete your FY1, FY2, foundation year 1 and foundation year 2, and then you have two pathway to choose. One, you can go for the CT1, CT2, CT3 pathway, and in the meantime, you can complete your exam, which is MRC Psych exam, and then you can apply for ST4. Or if you are interested in CAMS, which is Child and Adolescent Mental Health Service, then you can apply for the run-through program as like that will be like a run-through program of I think 6 years, and it will start from the ST1, so ST1, ST2, ST3, and then 4, 5, 6. The advantage of the run-through program is obviously it will just run through, and you have to clear your exams in the middle. And the only advantage is you don't need to apply for the ST4. It will just go on. The training will just go on. That is the advantage. Now, I want to mention that if you are like, let's say you are doing your CT1, CT2, CT3, and then you realize that, okay, fine, I really like CAMS, I want to go for the CAMS, but obviously you're not in a run-through post, which is absolutely fine. You can apply to CAMS as an ST4 as well. So there will be CAMS post for ST4. So if you are, I mean, if you have not chosen it already, but after your CT1 or CT2, if you think that, okay, fine, I think CAMS is something that I'm looking for, then you can always apply for ST4 CAMS. There's so specialties and subspecialties. So there are 6 specialties, starting with child and adolescent psychiatry, forensic psychiatry, general psychiatry, older psychiatry, psychiatry of learning disability, and medical psychotherapy. And if you are a general adult trainee, then you will have like, there are 3 subspecialties in general psychiatry, which is substance misuse, liaison psychiatry, and rehabilitation psychiatry. So, I mean, when I'm saying 3 subspecialties of general psychiatry, you have to keep in mind that you can only apply for these subspecialties if you are a general psychiatry trainee. There is a training pathway here. I don't know if you guys can see this this flow chart properly. If not, I mean, I copied it from the Royal College of Psychiatry website, and it almost is the same thing that I already said. If you have to finish your FY1, FY2, then CT1, CT2, CT3, then ST4, 5, 6. Requirements. So obviously you need to have your Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of like your MBBS degree in hand, and you need to have your MRC Psych examination done by the offer date. Now, obviously, let's say if you are a CT trainee, you have done your paper A and paper B, you took your CASC test, but you didn't get your result yet, you will still be eligible to apply for the ST4 post. And then obviously when like if you got selected, I mean, you have to tell them that you have passed the exam by the offer date. So it's not like you have to pass all the papers to apply for the ST4. You, like, if you are in the training post, if you have just completed your if you have completed your paper A and paper B and waiting for the CASC result, you can still apply for it. but obviously you have to pass before the offer date. If you are a trainee, you need to have ERCP certificates, 3 ERCP certificates, obviously your CT1, CT2, and CT3. There were some questions in the in the comment section that if you want to bypass the CT training, like the core training, how to get into the ST directly. So there is a certificate, there's a certificate like a CREST form called Certificate C. So this is basically equivalent to core competency form, demonstrating that you have achieved all competencies like a core trainee. You can get it signed by the consultant, and then you can apply for the ST post. So yes, I mean, if you don't want to do your core training, or for some reason if you don't want to go to that pathway, you can get your certificate C signed, and then if you have MRC psych done, then you can apply for ST post directly. Also, in other requirements, as we know, we have to have your GMC registration and license to practice in the UK, the work permit if you are applying from abroad. You need to have your UK driving license, which is important because, as you know, if you are a psychiatry training, core trainee or ST trainee, you need to cover multiple sites. So it's convenient if you have a UK driving license in hand rather than depending on the public transport, because you may need to travel to other sites during the odd hours, like in the middle of the night at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning. So it's better to have a UK driving license. Now, I will not say, although it was written in the website, I know that many trusts, they provide transport. They provide transport to cover multiple sites. So that can be an option. So, for example, when I was a core training, initially I didn't have my driving license, but later on I need to get that. So yes, it will be convenient if you have your driving license in hand. Also, I mentioned it earlier that as a CT3 trainee, even if you don't have your exams done, but you are in the middle of completing your exams, you can apply for the ST post. Now, obviously, you need to have a statement from your educational supervisor stating that you are going to achieve all the competencies by the time of the appointment. So obviously, you don't have your ARCP for CT3 in hand, and maybe the CAST exam is also waiting. So your educational supervisor need to tell the Deanery or the Health Education England that, okay, by the time of your appointment, you will have all the competencies in hand. Certificate C, I already mentioned about it. So you can get the certificate C from the Royal College of Psychiatrists website. It needs to be signed by your educational supervisor or one of the consultants stating that you have achieved all competencies like a core trainee, so that you can apply for the ST training. Here I have put the timeline of the ST application for August 2025 intake. So there are two intake, basically, February intake and August intake. The indicative posts are more in August intake, and like we say that the leftover posts are and few more posts are available in February intake. So the posts are really limited on February intake. So most people who wants to get into the psychiatry training in their desired or preferred places, they apply in August intake session. Application to be made via Oriel. So application will open on 14th of November, 10 a.m. I think next week, and will close on 5th of December at 4 p.m. If we go for the timeline, obviously there is a CAST exam due in January, and in February you have to upload all your documents for the self-assessment. I will discuss about the self-assessment later. I will give you an overview about what is the self-assessment and all. Then the self-assessment will be verified by March 2025. In the meantime, the CAST result will also be released. Then if you are not happy with the self-assessment results, then you can apply for, then you can appeal against it. Then once everything is done, in April 2025, the initial offer will be released. As Dr. Roy has discussed, you can accept it, you can hold it, you can decline it. If you are holding it, the deadline is until 23rd of April 2025, and the upgrade deadline is 24th of April 2025. Obviously, you have to, if you are holding the offer, you have to accept it, otherwise it will be rejected, I believe. Now I want to discuss about the self-assessment domain. So as part of the application, if there is a process which is called self-assessment domain. You have to upload your documents in a portal as well, which will be verified by one of the assessors, and will give you a score on the basis of what you have uploaded. Make sure that what you are uploading, those are all authentic and in line with the Health Education England. Otherwise, I believe there is a minus marking as well if they think that someone has hidden any information or falsified information. So what are the domains? If you have any undergraduate degrees, a lot of UK graduates, they have an undergraduate BSc degree along with MBBS, so that will be counted. If there is any undergraduate training, prizes or award, that will be counted. If any postgraduate medical qualification, that will be counted as well. For example, a lot of people, they do diploma, like postgraduate diploma or masters or even PhD. For masters, you will get extra 5 points, and for a PhD you will get extra 10 points. So yes, those all counts. Postgraduate training, any leadership role within the organization. Also, if you have any role in the clinical governance, audit, quality improvement project, if you have participated in any research, any teaching, if you have any publication, and if you have any presentation or poster presentation, those all will be counted. Given in mind that whatever you are declaring in self-assessment domain, all of the evidence need to be uploaded in self-assessment evidence portal. You have to face a online interview. So you will be asked two scenario-based questions during the interview. So basically the purpose of this interview is to see that if you are eligible to work as a middle grade doctor or a registrar in NHS. Obviously, you are working as a middle grade doctor, so your answers need to be in line with that. So how the interview will be run? So both interview questions will be asked by a single panel interview of two clinical assessors, an administrator or possibly a lay representative or an observer may also present. It will be a virtual interview actually. And the interview will be approximately about 15 minutes, and there will be 6 minutes will be spent on each questions. One interesting thing is the questions are also available in Royal College of in Health Education England website. I have put a link there. So the interview questions are also available. Now there can be an argument that, oh, the interview questions are already there, so someone who has taken this interview 3-4 times, they will do better than someone who is just attending the interview for the first time. So in the website there is they say that they have done some audit or research, and they found that taking the interview multiple times actually doesn't improve the score. So for example, I got my offer on my when I applied for the first time. So it's like when you are attending the interview, it's important that you are answering as a registrar. You are not a junior doctor anymore. You are answering as a registrar. Two consultants will take the interview. So what those consultants will look for, I believe, is if they will feel safe to leave their patient cohort in your hands or not. So I think that was something that I was told, that don't attend the interview as a junior doctor. You're a middle grade doctor now, so attend it in that way. And so when I took my when I made the application, what I did was I was practicing those two questions with different other people. So, and all of them were actually like, they were taking the test, they're taking the interview for the first time. So yeah, you will just keep practicing with a lot of people, and every time you will practice with one person, you will learn something new. So that is, I think, the key. A lot of practicing with different people. I think that's the whole application process. It's pretty straightforward. There is no written test or anything. It's the interview and the verified self-assessment score, and your CASC or your MRC Psych exam. That's all we are looking for the ST4 test. So these they will generate a final score based on this, and if you score good, you will get the offer according to your preference. So yeah, I think that's almost everything. This is the summary of the whole application process. So I'm not sure if these slides will be circulated among you or not. I put some useful link here if you want to get some more information. Yeah, I think that's everything. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Haque, for comprehensive presentation. Just want to add a few things in the presentation. One of the things is people who are currently doing co-trainee, if you're applying for ST4, by the time when you enter your CT1, be careful that, try to model your portfolio as per the requirement of ST4, the audits research, look at what is needed. So, if you plan from CT1, you don't have to plan at CT3 and say, oh, I haven't done audit. It becomes too late, okay? The other thing I want to add is, in ST, there's also a provision of dual trainee. So instead of one, you can also do like two, but those posts are very, very competitive. Like for me, I did a dual trainee in old age and general adult. In my time, we only had like two posts. Okay. And in terms of, the other specialty in general adult, you can also do the endorsement post. So out of the 3 years, you can take 1 year to do endorsement post. And as Tanjita said that, there is a liaison, substance, and rehab. And now the new is something called perinatal. You can also do in perinatal. Okay. You also have to be careful that it depends on which linear or placement that you apply. Like for example, in Northwest, we don't have the facility of addiction services. So please be mindful that wherever you applied for ST, also do a bit of research that what are the endorsement posts that is available and what are the job opportunity post the training. And the last bit I want to add is, Tanjida explained clearly about the interview. One of the things I've also seen is, in the last 3-4 years, I have, sat with different people preparing for ST interview. And sometimes we have got a very, very experienced doctor who also does the MR Psych and go for the ST interview. And what I've realized is, when they go for ST interview, they act as a consultant in ST interview. They said, oh, I will ask my junior, I will ask my this. So when and when they fail the exam, I've spoken with few of them. I'm not going to name it, but they come to me and said, I'm very experienced, why did I fail? And when I listen to them, they act as a consultant. And please be mindful that they are looking for ST4. They're not looking for a consultant. And as a consultant, if I'm on the interview panel, I'll think that I'm looking for ST4, but here comes the consultant. So why should I train a consultant when he's applying for ST4? So be mindful of that. Okay. So Tanjira, you can see the chat. I think you have answered most of them. But I will also open a floor. please, if you feel any comfortable, you can write it. Or we are almost to the end of the session. You can on your camera, so we feel comfortable. We don't feel as if we are talking to the laptop and we are hallucinating. Okay.
So I believe one of the doctors who asked that what's the recommended pathway for someone working as a specialty doctor in adult psychiatry apart from MSRA. I believe I addressed it in my presentation. Obviously, if you don't want to go for the core training or the MSRA route, you can always get your certificate C signed and get your MRC psych exam done and then apply for the ST training straight away. And also, there are other pathways. I think Dr. Gurung can tell you better about the non-training pathway to be consultant as well, isn't it? But that is not something that we are discussing today. If you ask me, I would recommend the certificate C and the MRC psych and then apply for ST4. I think that will be something that we can recommend today. Also, can one use MRC psych pathway to start ST training level and jump core training? Yes, that's the same answer. You can bypass core training like that. I'm a GMC registered doctor residing in the UK. Apart from the MSRA route, is there any other pathway? Same answer. Certificate C and MRC psych apply for the ST training. Yeah, I think that's everything, isn't it? What overseas opportunities are available after completing psych training, please? Okay, I think Dr. Gurung can answer this. Yeah.
Okay, let me answer this. We have to keep in mind that, when you do a psych training, it depends on the individual preference, how they want to take their career forward. It's a bit unfair to compare with a GP training because the GP are trained differently than the psychiatric training. It's like asking, which do you prefer, apple or oranges? Which one is better for eating? So, it's unfair. And if you look at the research, that is something called heterogeneity. It's not a homogeneity, so it causes a bias. Okay. And so in terms of opportunity in psych training, especially in UK, there are a lot of opportunity. As Tanjida said that, when you become a psychiatrist, there are like 6 specialty. So you can be a consultant in any of the 6 specialty. On top of that, me working as a consultant, sometimes you don't have to, go with the traditional of the 6. There are also other opportunities for like, as a consultant, you can also work as a neuropsychiatrist. You can also work in the legal field. You can also work in the eating disorder. So, there are a lot of booming new branches. And as a psychiatrist, you can also invent branches. Quite recently, I think they are going for a sports psychiatrist, which might be very, coming forward in the next 2 years. So there have been some kind of study going on. And in terms of psychiatry, psychiatry is a specialty which is still branching, growing. So we might be biased because we are in psychiatry and we might talk good things about psychiatry training, but whoever have asked this question, please also ask an opinion from a GP. So you might have a balanced kind of opinion, not just hearing from the psychiatric people. I hope that answers. Is there any further question down? Okay, the most important thing from today is please feel the feedback. Feedback is very important. Without your feedback, it would be very difficult for us to organize next time to see, what are the things that we did good this time, what are the things that we could have done better. Okay. Perfect. I don't see any question. Okay, so we'll spend like 7 minutes and I might have a question for both Dr. Roy and Dr. Haque. Sorry, I'm asking question. I should be, cheering, but I'm asking question. Okay,
Sure.
so there's a question. How do we get update and guidance on what is this? Spirit psychiatry. Sorry, who asked this question? Please, be free to open your mic and camera. Oh, okay, sports psychiatry. Okay. So in terms of sports psychiatry, I'm very interested in the sports psychiatry. Quite recently, if you go to the Royal College of Psychiatry, they are doing a kind of like a study. Okay. So far as I know, there is only one permanent sports psychiatrist who is currently working who have written this book called Chim's Paradox. So if you have got a chance, read that book. Okay, so he is a very prominent sports psychiatrist. In order to work as a sports psychiatrist, on top of your psychiatry, you also need to have some kind of degree in sport. Sports psychiatry is very predominant in America, but it's in a very infantile state in UK. Okay, so in UK the problem is we cannot go more with the sports psychiatry is it's cheaper for the club to employ a psychologist than a psychiatrist. So it's more like a business model. But I'm hoping, it might be more in the next 2 to 3 years. But if you're interested, there's a book called Chim's Paradox. Okay, let me write it over here. So if you read that book, uh, it's written by a psychiatrist who works as a sorry to okay. Yeah. Sorry, I've got a question for Dr. Roy.
Yes, Dr. Gurung.
So we'll just spend like 5 minutes and we'll end the session and I'll hand it over to. So, Dr. Roy, since you are at a level of CT3, okay, and you have had some experience, okay, so in terms of now you are going to apply as a ST4, okay, um, how do you see your career panning out? Are you optimistic, or is there any doubts that you have moving forward in UK in terms of ST training?
Yeah, this was the best decision I have made in my medical career, getting into psychiatry training. I am really passionate about this subject, both as a medical subspecialty and as a subject that deals with human knowledge. So yeah, it is fascinating. Now, after the core training, of course, I have interest in working as in both general and forensic psychiatry field, as well as I have some interest in psychotherapy. I'll probably get into some sort of master's degree, as well as get into a specialty training post. And yeah, I'm really hopeful. I'm very happy that I choose psychiatry. That's another thing. Royal College is trying to promote that. I am trying to promote it as well.
Okay, good. Okay, so before we end the session, just also wanted to hear an opinion from Dr. Haque, who is a ST. And I think it's also relevant to get your opinion, how do you see your future? Are you hopeful that, a job as a consultant will be, is what you hoped for in the coming days?
That's a very good questions, Dr. Gurung. Obviously, we know that NHS is at a challenging situation at this moment, I think. And someone like me, I have area preferences because my family is based in Northwest, so I don't want to go outside Northwest. If I narrow it down, I don't want to go outside the Merseyside. I even don't want to go to Manchester. So I don't know. If I look into the NHS job side, there are many posts available in this area still now, which are covered by the locum consultants. But I still have about 2.5 years of training left, and the way NHS is now, I don't know how the job field will be after 2.5 years or 3 years. Let's see. I just want to feel hopeful. Let's see.
Good.
That's all
Okay.
I want to say. Yeah.
So, I think we don't have any further question, but before we end the session, I just want to give a monologue of 5 minutes, if that is all right with people over here. Um, you know, uh, as Dr. Roy and Dr. Haque said, and they are very passionate in psychiatry. I can also say that I'm very passionate in psychiatry, and it's good that we are organizing a program like this to encourage more people to join us. But keep in mind that in the last 1 or 2 years, one of the things I've noticed is as a consultant, we encourage a lot of people, but please mind that if you choose a psychiatry, one, you really need to be passionate. Okay, just don't join psychiatry for the sake of joining it. because I've seen, I've spoken with a lot of co-trainees, let us say in the last 2, 3 years, and when they reach like CT2, CT3, they say, oh, we choose the wrong career as a psychiatry. Okay, so when you choose a psychiatry, also be mindful of your own personality. Okay, also be mindful that what you want to achieve. Have a very good clarity of, don't use psychiatry as like a graveyard, or like, second option or third option, saying, I didn't get any job. So to get a UK visa, psychiatry is the only option. Okay, so if you come with that intention, you might find, psychiatry not very good. Okay, so please be mindful of all of those things. And I presume we have got 26 people over here, and this recording will be heard by, number of people. So the take-home message from today is, to summarize, Dr. Roy have provided Hanover. I'm aware, there's a hand raise, but I'll finish my monologue in 30 seconds and I'll give a chance. Okay. So just to summarize, Dr. Roy gave a very good insight of the co-trainee, and Dr. Haque gave a very good insight of the ST. Hope people will have more, idea. Okay. So it's Dr. Jay. You have raised your hand, please.
Hello, good evening.
Hi.
Yes,
Have you, is this
thank
question
you
directed to
for
Dr. Roy, Dr. Haque, or myself?
no, well, to all of you that have experience so far in psychiatry.
Yeah.
One of the questions I want to ask is about the length of the training. Yeah, because that's what I really find quite challenging. I've been around. I just came into the UK not too long ago. I'm doing a non-training job in psychiatry, and I'm wanting to do training in psychiatry, but there's just one challenge I have: the length of the training. And I've seen a lot of people who are doing the non-training job, middle grade, and they have this recurrent story. I've done CT1, CT2, CT3. And I said, what happened? Why didn't you continue? What happened? That's the question I've been asking. Oh, the exams were difficult to pass. In fact, I got tired of writing exams. And they're all working as specialty doctors, at least months. I've seen about 6 people with the same recurring story. So, I mean, is it a training? I'm just saying, of course, I've seen a lot who have become consultants.
Yeah.
Is there something about the training? Is there something about the process? I just want to know. Why do people drop out along the way? What's really going on?
Okay. Dr. Haque and Dr. Roy, is it all right for me to answer this? Because I've been on on all of this site, and I can relate what the question you want to ask. I'll give you a bit of brief summary, and in the brief summary, I hope you will get your answer. Okay. So in terms of my experience, I did in medicine 1 year after PLAB. After that, I did a trust grade in psychiatry before entering psychiatry. I did 3-year co-training CT1, CT2, CT3. I did staff grade for 4 years, and then ST4 to ST7. So, I've been in a psychiatry for 12 months, 12 years. Okay. So one of the things I would advise is be mindful of whom you ask an advice. If you ask an advice from a people who are frustrated, you will only get frustrated answer. Okay. If you ask from people who have, succeeded, you get an answer from that. So it totally depends on whom you ask the question. Okay. I agree. The MSI exams are difficult, but keep in mind, it's not impossible. Okay. The other thing is especially with IMG doctors, I'm not generalizing. I'm not saying to individual. Sometimes, it might be difficult for us to pass the exam because the format in which we are trained are completely different over here. Okay. For example, in Nepal, we were asked like, what is this? And we are asked like 5 or, write a paragraph kind of training. So the training was different than over here. Over here is MCQs. And sometimes, it's not about knowing, it's also knowing the format of the exam. I've seen a lot of people who have passed MR Psych not having a brilliant knowledge, but they know how to tick the right answer. Okay, so keep in mind there's a difference between passing an exam and being a good psychiatrist. Okay, the other thing is, the people with whom you have contacted, they might be feel comfortable. I can also relate. When I did a staff grade for 4 years, if you have approached me at the time, I would say, why should I become a consultant? I'm happy. I'm getting as a consultant. Okay, so one of the things is after 3 or 4 years, the comfort level kicks in and you don't want to change. You have got family and this and that, so that might also stop you from pursuing and working hard. Okay, so my advice is, um, focus on what you want rather than listening to what others say. If you listen to all to other people, you will get too many direction. It's like, if I want to go to Manchester and if I ask like 10 people, 10 people will say, okay, you can go from Warrington, you can go from Lee, you can go from different direction. But at the end of the day, it totally depends on what you want to do. Okay, so if you have got a clear direction where you want to go, that is the area that you need to go rather than listening to too many people. Does that answer your question, Dr. J?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, and sorry, as a psychiatrist, we analyze too much of thing. So my advice is, don't analyze, and don't give any option. If you want to do MSI, just sit and clear the exam. And keep in mind, one of the positive thing I can say about the MSI is you are allowed to fail 5 times. Okay, in any of the exam, you only need to pass once. Yeah,
That's right. Mhm.
yeah.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
Yeah, I don't think we have got any more question. On this question, has Dr. Roy or Dr. Haque got anything to add before we end the session?
No.
No, not from me either. No.
Okay, so I think we are ending the session, but please give us a feedback. Now I'm going to hand over to Artik, if he is over here, to end the session. Sorry, do we have Artik here or Asif?
I'm here, but I'll probably give it to Asif Bhai. Asif Bhai will finish it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Gurung, for your nice coordination, moderation, and also responding to some tricky questions from your expertise. And I would definitely congratulate and thank Dr. Shwikat Rai and Tanzida Haque for their amazing presentations. And all of this would be vain without our amazing participants. There were lots of questions, lots of discussions, and this whole session will be uploaded in YouTube. So hopefully people will be keep on benefiting with this session and efforts. And to add with Dr. Gurung's, please fill up the feedback survey, and there will be more webinars organized by our club in coming days. The next one in this series is on surgery on 20th November. So if you have any friends and colleagues to refer, please feel free to refer the link. With that, have a nice weekend, and I say you goodbye for today. Thank you.
Thank you.